My mother spent her teenage years in southern China. At that time, people rarely went to shops to buy clothes. My mother used to get new clothes in the Chinese New Year. When the Chinese New Year was approaching, my grandparents would take their money, which they saved for a year, to buy some clothes, and ask the tailor to come home to tailor clothes for the family. When the tailor came to the house, he would design new clothes for the whole family for 1 year and would make them before the Chinese New Year. What impressed my mother was that the tailor used to bring a book with all the styles of clothes he could make to their house. The family would gather around the book to choose the clothes they wanted for next year and carefully calculate the amount of cloth that may be used. When the tailor made clothes for children, he often made them bigger so that new clothes could be worn longer. When clothes were too small, the clothes were often passed on to the younger brothers and sisters at home. My grandparents were factory workers, and their families always ate in the factory canteen. For them, the best way to entertain friends was to invite friends to dinner at home. My grandmother used to prepare for a long time before inviting friends to dinner, because the food was limited and needed some ticket to purchase goods. Every time a person is invited to eat at their home, the rest of the meal was usually eaten by the family for another 2 days. When they invited friends to eat at home, the meals on the table were mostly staple food, because people thought that the most important thing was to make the guest full. My mother remembered that people always ate a lot. She could even eat 4 steamed breads at a meal. Back then, people would rarely travel. Every time my mother went on a trip to visit relatives and friends from other places, she would often make a careful plan before going out and send letters to local friends to inquire about a specific way to get there. She was very excited every time she went out, because it was a real opportunity to see the world outside. When my mother went out to college, she needed to take a 6 to 7 hour train. Trains were always crowded. Sometimes, my mother needed to enter the train through the window. During that time, trains ran on coal. After taking the train, the faces of passengers would turn black due to the ash that was produced by the train. My mother believed that although the living conditions were not as good as nowadays, her family had been living happily. These memories were unforgettable for her forever.